Welcome everyone to this video in the Ascension 101 series with me, Lovisa Alvtörn of Ascension with Lovisa. This is a series where we talk about ascension and spirituality in a way that makes it easy to understand, even if you're an Ascension newbie, so someone who recently woke up spiritually and you don't know that much yet about how this new world works and all of the vocabulary and so on. But today's topic is developing your psychic abilities. And I have a special guest with me today to explore this interesting topic. Jenna Boreham, welcome.
Hi.
So Jenna and I are going to share ways to help you develop your own psychic abilities, like seeing, hearing, sensing spirit, and receiving messages and information from the spiritual realms. And we'll give examples of different ways in which you may experience them and express them also. And we'll give some advice for you if you're feeling unsure about this subject and your own abilities. And we're going to share also from our own experiences. So I'm really looking forward to our conversation today, Jenna. So before we get deeper into the subject, would you please introduce yourself a little bit to the viewers?
Sure. Hi, everybody. My name is Jenna Boreham, and I'm an intuitive channel. I'm working mostly with our galactic soul family and the angelic realm and the intergalactic council. Most closely, I do work with Merlin and Archangel Michael as well.
Thank you. I've been feeling Merlin today.
Oh yeah, he's here. He's here, Lovisa.
Oh yeah, let me show you like my dragon that's connected to
him.
Oh
wow,
really gorgeous.
What's that made of?
Jasper.
That's interesting.
Kambaba Jasper.
I've got a Malagano Jasper, and I really feel Merlin with that too.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I do have a Merlinite. Merlinite, is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Also.
Pretty.
Yeah. So let's get into the subject. I wanted to say, first of all, when we talk now of psychic abilities and channeling in this video, we refer to messages that we get from the spiritual realms, from spirit guides and angels, from our own higher self. So we're not so much, it's not as channeling loved ones who passed over and so on. This is not to say that we don't also sense them. But it feels important to mention this from the start. This is like from an ascension viewpoint.
Yeah.
And also, because we did talk before this recording once, and we said we mustn't forget to mention fear.
Oh yes.
That fear is a big thing that will hold you back. So I'm saying it now, that, and also that fear, if you're afraid of getting messages, like if you feel the fear, it will attract the lower vibrational energies more, whereas love will draw in the higher vibrational ones, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so
definitely.
That was something we were talking about, like a 3D way versus a 5D way.
Yeah.
Did you want to say something more about it? You said it so well when we talked.
Oh gosh. Yeah, when you put it like that, it sort of, it's very apparent, isn't it, within the 3D right now, that the fear is being really poured in. And I think that's the point, is to shut people down, because it does. When you're in a state of fear, you're just completely closed. Your crown is closed. You're full of density. So yeah, I think we have to release the fear, because as soon as that because it's darkness, I see it as being a density and a darkness. As soon as that's gone, then it allows the light to come in, and then your vibration rises, and then you are ripe basically for contact with higher dimensional beings.
So really this about like when you send out love is what you receive back.
Yeah.
So try to release it, to feel bad that you're going into fear, but try to move back into your heart and into love and light.
Yeah. I think it's an alchemizing process. It's acceptable to feel fear. That's a normal thing, that's a very human emotion, but it's recognizing it. I think this is where living in the moment and being present is very important. So you recognize it as soon as it comes in, and you don't allow it to encompass your body. You don't allow it to take over your day. You see it, you feel it, you acknowledge it, and then you let it go. You alchemize it in whatever way you choose to do that. But yeah, you let it go.
Yeah. But you and I connected through Tim Wilde, actually. So let's bring him in, because he really is talking about this, like if what you send out is what you get back, and working with your solar plexus chakra.
Yeah.
On that. So.
Yeah, I think it's the 3D is very much about mirroring. So like you say, what you send out, you get back.
Because I remember at the beginning when I was waking up 4 years ago, and then Tim was my main guide in the beginning, and because I was afraid of what I might see. I had barriers up, so because I was afraid of like the darker energies.
Well, it's a big thing.
But then when something that he said to me, like if you're really raising your energy and you're shining brightly, that darkness can't even get close to you. And that changed everything for me. That like a switch like that. I was never afraid again after that. Like if you just shine brightly and you like move into your heart, then it can't reach you.
Completely. Although I think it is important, because Tim and I had this conversation recently, that we're going through a big period of cleansing and releasing. So when we are in those more vulnerable positions, if we are bringing stuff up to clear it, then that can make us a little bit vulnerable to negative energies. So it's worth just recognizing that, so that you can maybe place a protection over yourself. I mean, when you're in a really good position, when you're really high vibration, I don't think it's necessary personally. I think like Tim says, you are shining so bright that nothing can penetrate that. It will take a real dark entity to even try. But I do think when you are having a more vulnerable period, it is just worth noting that maybe place a protection over yourself. And I just tend to place myself in a bubble, or more recently I've been using a bit of light language to sort of create a force field around myself. So it's sort of like a light bubble, but it feels I can't even explain how it feels or it looks, but it's slightly different.
Well, you can use a violet flame, like use crystals. So here's an amethyst, really connected to because the violet flame is very protective and alchemizing and transmuting. Is that a word? Sometimes my English will transmute the lower vibrations. And I was thinking also to be compassionate with yourself.
Completely.
Compassion because we do like our inner child and so on.
Definitely.
But should we first talk a little bit about how we can experience these phenomena? So because for me, before I woke up, so I did mention it was about 4 years ago that I started waking up spiritually, and I felt that I wasn't psychic at all. And I felt that like at the beginning, like the first couple of years still after waking up too. But I'm certain that we all are psychic. It's just we need to rediscover our personal ways of experiencing it.
That's the key word, isn't it? Rediscovery, remembering, because I think all of, like you say, all of these extra senses, they're all laying dormant, aren't they? And you're just remembering them, you're reinstalling them. And
also maybe you're kind of locked into you think that it's going to be like this, so you miss what's actually there. Instead you're looking just for one thing. Maybe you expect to see and hear an angel standing next to you, in the same way that you see a regular person, and then you might miss the more subtle messages that may come in, and using other senses as well.
And I think when you do first start to experience these different things, they are subtle. because I don't think, you know, angels or your galactic family, they don't want to bombard you. They don't want to
totally freak you out.
Yeah, exactly. They don't want to make this a fear-based process, because that's going to do the opposite of what they want. That's going to lock you into fear. So it will start subtle, and then as soon as you start recognizing the synchronicities, then more will happen.
Yeah.
And I think everybody has a more dominant clair. So for me, it's clairvoyant, so I see images quite vividly, but when you develop that and you're proficient with that, I think that's when other ones develop as well. They start to come in, and you'll build a full body sensory experience with it.
But I was thinking, but of course for some people, like you're born awake, so it's all, and you've been experiencing this since you were a child. I haven't. So you have different experiences there.
Yeah.
So was that something that was difficult for you as a child?
I think as a child, I always felt very different. I knew I knew that there was something different about me. Everything around me just didn't feel quite right, and I felt quite different to my family. My sister shared some experiences that we had. We used to live across from a church and a graveyard, so we would play there quite frequently because there's a lovely tree there to climb in, and we would see energies within the graveyard, because it's very old. It wasn't like a modern graveyard where, you know, people had just died. It was old. So yeah, I mean, the first thing I saw was the energy of a little boy as I opened the curtains in my living room. And it turned out that this little boy, he lived in our house that we grew up in with his dad. His dad was there too. And the energy of that house was just hideous. It was just horrible.
Was it ever frightening to you, or?
Yeah,
it was frightening.
And I think that was part of the problem as a young person, because I had frightening things happen. So one of the worst things I had happen was my bed was shaken. And my sister wouldn't go in my bedroom because it was always freezing cold, and neither of us liked being upstairs on our own. There was just a horrible, horrible energy there. But I think moving along my path, I had to really deal with the fear. I didn't want to see anything. I think that was the thing, because I'd seen vividly as a child. That kind of left a little bit. So I saw as I would see you now. I could see them in front of me that way, but I don't see it that way anymore. It's very different. So it does evolve, you know, it will change and grow depending on, I think, what your soul contract is and what you are set to do with your lifetime.
So it's nothing that you can force in any way.
No, it's not. No,
it's about allowing and raising your vibration.
Yes, completely. I mean, I went through quite a long period of illness as well from my teens, which locked me into a lower vibration. So I was very depressed. I really struggled with depression, and physically I was very unwell. And I think taking the fear with me from my childhood and then coupling it with physical and mental illness, I was really locked into the fear. So I did attract lower vibrational entities because I was sort of like food for them. And I think coming through the healing process is when everything really changed for me, and I was able to unlock more of my abilities, you know, like we were saying earlier, because you're raising your vibration and you are transmuting the darkness and the weight, then you can allow more things in, like more light to come in, you know, to work with. So
one thing I was thinking about here when we're talking about children, like to think about our children, like if they experience something, to be supportive. But I do think that today the energy level, like of the whole planet, is higher, the vibration. So should be easier, or what do you think?
I mean, my parents never shut me down. I was so lucky. But I didn't have anyone immediately around me who could support me in the way that I suppose I needed. There was no guide there. There was no guidance to I don't know, tell me how to protect myself or to raise my vibration, or, you know, any of these things. But I think a lot of the children, well, I'm going to say all of the children now, they're being born with their gifts. I think if they're not expressing them now, they're laying dormant, and they will express them later down the line. I know my eldest daughter, she displayed psychic ability as a small child, and then going through school, I think, is an issue. She sort of shut down a little bit, but now it's really come out since last year, when everything changed for everybody. That was a big, I don't know, a big release for everybody. And I think it started to show itself as anxiety. So she's very empathic. So she's picking up on all of the energies around her. And she started seeing energies as well. So it's really it's a kind of learning experience for me as a mother to guide a child through this, because I didn't have anyone do that for me as a child. But also my youngest as well, who's 3, she is very telepathic. Now this is an interesting one, because she can, not all the time, but sometimes she does really pick up on what I'm thinking in my head, and she'll say it out loud. Or one day we went in the health store, and I had to get some lentils, and I hadn't said anything to her, and she went over to them and picked them up for me and brought them to me. So she really does blow my mind sometimes. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a learning experience for everybody, and it's important not to be hard on yourself, but to be guided by your heart.
Yeah, but I mean, if this is new to someone listening, and I mean, I've done several videos in this series with Tim Wilde, where we go through a lot of like the initial questions you may have when you wake up, and so we do talk about angels, dragons, unicorns, these amazing angelic energies that can support us. So to not be afraid to talk to the children about this, like the support that they can give, because really when you even think of them, they're right with you. So because these are really tools that can help children who do feel fear or anxiety.
Definitely. I'm just getting the word listen. I think listening to them is so important. Don't shut them down. I think as small children, we are often silenced, particularly if we're saying something that's out of the ordinary. And that is so detrimental, particularly in this area, because you're just going to shut them down.
You silence them, or you tell them, that's not really real.
Yeah, that's not real. Exactly. And then they kind of start questioning themselves, not only with this, but with other things in their lives. If they can't trust their own judgment from an early age, then they're going to have, problems later down the line as well. My sorry, Lovisa, my computer is making a lot of fan noise. Can you hear it?
No.
Oh, good.
I'm not hearing it. So I'm just hearing your voice. Okay. So let's see. I was thinking about the different clairs that we were talking about, like the different spiritual psychic senses. I found a list that there are actually 8.
Okay.
So I'm just going to mention them because it does help. And usually when like your physical senses, like the ones that are strong for you, your physical senses, more developed, usually like those will be the ones that you notice first with your spiritual psychic senses as well, I think. So to think about that. So if you're saying you're clairvoyant.
Yeah, I tend to see a lot of images. So when I do my channeled messages, I tend to get a combination of words in my head. So it's not the sound of somebody else's voice. I don't get clairaudience. It's in my voice in my head, if that makes sense, but it's coming from somewhere else. And I get a combination of that with images that I have to decipher and feeling as well.
It sounds similar to my own experience, and also that it's a bit hard to explain like how you see it or how I see it, because it is like it's so vivid and detailed, but it's not with like these eyes. It's like an inner eye, so it's like an inner vision. So that is your third eye, It's like a mental image.
Yeah.
But I can also, like, with my, so it can be something from another lifetime, or another place where I'm not at the particular time when I get this information. But it can also be, so I know, for example, that we have a huge dragon on the roof of our house.
Oh, awesome.
And then I do see it, like that. I see the house from outside.
Yeah.
But so it can be in different ways. So to be open here.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
I think a lot of people may think like that's just my imagination. But to be, okay, but where does the imagination come from?
Well, exactly.
Also,
you're using the same, I think you're using the same centers within your brain.
Yeah.
It's all connected. It's
and
the same.
Usually also you feel when
Yeah.
it's real. Does that, what does your heart tell you? Is this something that your mind is just making up, or how does this feel?
Yeah. I think with imagination, that tends to be more of an active process, doesn't it? Whereas this isn't so active. This is passive. This is allowing, and that allowing is bringing it through. I think when I tend to see energies, for example, if I see Merlin, or I don't know, someone else come in, I try and explain it this way, because I'm a designer and that's kind of what I know. So everything in our reality is here, and then it's like having a sheet of tracing paper. Do you know what tracing paper is?
No.
Like an overlay. Oh, okay, maybe this only works for me then. It's sort of like they're on that sheet that you lay over the top, and it merges together. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because that's the only way I can kind of describe it to people who ask me how I'm seeing things. I'm not seeing things like they're in the same reality, but they're sort of overlaid with it.
But and you're saying not in the same reality, but
it
is in reality. It's just not the visual.
Yeah.
Visual, like everything that exists is not something you can see. It doesn't have it's not like in physical form.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean it's not real.
It's really difficult to explain, because it's like here but not here. So yeah.
Okay, so I said clairvoyance, so then we have the clairaudience, what we're hearing. But I didn't really think about like if there's a difference if it's my own voice or someone else's voice. But because I often hear words or phrases also, and then paired with images and the feelings too. And then there's the claircognizance. You just know. No one gave you the information, or like you don't know any facts about this, but you know this to be true.
Yeah.
Then there's the clairsentience, when you actually feel the emotions and pain of others, like physical pain also.
So that's the empath aspect.
And then they're making a difference between this list that I found between clairsentience and clairempathy.
Oh, okay.
So the difference then is that the empath senses the emotion of others without actually experiencing it.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So I do know someone who feels pain, physical pain and distress and so on from others very clearly. And that must be hard. I realize that. I'm not usually like that. I have that I sense the emotions and so on, and I can experience them somewhat. It depends on if I need to. If it's someone that I have a session with, I might need to experience a little bit as well. So, and that I think is your higher self and spirit will decide how much and what different messages you need. But there's clairtangency, like you touch an object, and you sense things about it or about its owner.
Yeah. That's also called psychometry, I think. That's quite a fun one to play with. I used to go to a psychic circle. We put things in envelopes, and we would sort of pass them around to each other and hold them and see what we could get from the envelope. That's a really nice exercise to do, actually.
Yeah. I mean, so maybe you are a person who really you use your sense of touch, and you feel
Yeah.
things like with your hands or your body and so on.
Yeah.
So then this may be a strong sense for you, the clairtangency also. And then there is clairsalience, which is smelling.
Right.
And I have that a little bit. Like I can smell, like, so for example, the perfume of a loved one, or that, and you can realize that they're close, or it makes you start to think of them if they're still here in the physical. But I get also like sense of flowers, and to help me realize also when there's a specific archangel close by sometimes. Or
I think this is probably one of the more common ones, actually. People don't realize that that's what's happening, because like you, I think I've smelt things at certain times when there's no one around me to be wearing a perfume, but I definitely smell it, and I know that it's from somebody that I love. So
now I've realized that sometimes it's like that inner smelling also. It's like the third eye, it's like the third nose. There's the second nose. Okay, but then there's clairgustance, which is tasting.
Right. Okay.
That you can taste. So I read where I found this list that some policemen are really good, like using this sense. If they're at a crime scene, they can help them solve a case if they taste of blood or metal or a specific drug, or something like that. But so that's I hadn't thought about that. But I mean, I'm sure you could also like different herbs and things like that.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I suppose it makes sense. I haven't really thought about all of these different clairs before, because there are the real obvious ones that most people talk about. But it makes sense that you would have a kind of counterpart to your five senses.
Yeah. But then because this is something when I woke up also, and I when I went to classes and so on, it seems like a lot of people want the clairvoyance, and they expect the clairvoyance to see, and you might feel disappointed if you don't get that. But I know also Diana Cooper has also said, like, she's very let's see, what is that then? Claircognizant, like that you just know this, like the inner knowing, and that's actually even like it's even deeper. It's not that I'm not saying that one is better than the other, but definitely not that if you're clairvoyant, that's the best thing, or something like that. But
I think some of that comes from not having an understanding or not having a knowing that all of these senses are available to you, because I think the clairvoyance is the one that's most commonly spoken about. But also, if you're so attached to just having the clairvoyance, you're going to just hold yourself back from having, an all body experience, experiencing all the other things sensory that you experience. So you're in resistance to having these things. You're even in resistance to having clairvoyance, because you're so focused on the fact you don't have it that you're becoming a vibrational match to not having it. So it's really counterproductive.
Yeah. That's true. But then you mentioned before also that like the little signs, so that we often miss them. And this was like also when I woke up, this was a new world. I never thought about like synchronicities and numbers, like the numbers that, like the 22 or 333, or that the time is 11:11 and so on, and that they repeat themselves. And those are, I don't know, some people call them angel numbers, but it's really, it is powerful with numbers.
It is, yeah.
And if you see the same number, like now I'm looking at the watch, or my phone, and it's 11:11 again, after a while. Okay, this is a synchronicity. This is a message here. What were you thinking about at this particular time? Or feathers is a common one for angels that a lot of people know about. If you see a feather, and then also to be open to look around you and to notice it, to actually take it in. Okay, I was thinking about something, maybe you're trying to take a decision on something, and suddenly you see this feather or get this, or you look at the time and it's 3:33, or like, yes, that is a sign for you.
33.
To take it in.
Yeah.
And it can be song lyrics, that a song suddenly appears on on the radio and speaks directly to you. It seems like it's someone speaking to you.
Yeah.
It is. And it can be light, like sunbeams. Suddenly the same thing again. You might be asking for signs. Please show me that this is real.
Yeah.
Right? If this is so new to you, but you might miss all of these things as you ask this question, and you get like the sunbeam right straight in your face, or you get a butterfly just fly up in front of you. There's so many things like in nature.
Yeah.
And like with songs, and even I have a friend who's getting messages from license plates on cars the whole time. And I call her now Mrs. 222, because the ones when I was talking to her, the twos are her numbers, like 22, and I'm 5, so I'm 55.
Mine are 33.
Oh,
yeah.
And so I was talking to her on the phone once, and I know she looks at the cars, at the license plate. So, and the car that I looked at said Mrs. 222. We have that 3 letters and then 3 numbers.
Yeah.
So I was like, hey, Mrs. 222. Yeah. But that's going to be colors, like, because different colors represent different things.
Yeah. I personally have found that dreams are amazing for this. This has been the biggest one for me. So I'll have quite a random dream that will involve maybe different animals or different scenarios, and I know when I wake up that means something. I think sometimes it's just a scrambled mess that your brain has put together when you're asleep, but other times you know that there is a message there for you. And then I will go away and I'll think about it and try and place things, because often images within our dreams represent other things. So I go away and I really think about it, and I'll look up animals that happen to turn up and what they represent.
Just remember, I, with my sons, taking them to school on their bikes this morning, we saw a little squirrel, like so close up, and it just so I knew that was had a message. Yeah, definitely. So these are some things. So is there something else that you think about here? Different types of signs that people, especially when you're an Ascension newbie and you're not used to experiencing things like this and looking for the signs, but after a while you start to open up more, then it can be so many different ones.
I think it's funny, it does generally just come down to synchronicities. So you might be thinking about something and then something else will crop up in your reality that reflects exactly what you were just thinking. And I think this happens more and more frequently. As soon as you start noticing it, it will happen even more, and I think it becomes really, really fun.
I mean, that synchronicities, that's also how you and I connected to make this video on this subject, because I was getting a lot of inspiration around this and making a video, and I was talking to someone else about it, and then it didn't quite turn out that way. But then as I was just getting the subject, I opened Facebook, and you were in your Facebook group.
We were having a dialogue about it.
This exact same thing. I was like, I'm definitely doing this video. And then I asked you if you wanted to do it with me.
It's magical. Synchronicity has to be one of the best things about the Ascension experience.
So we talked about the different senses, and but also, so now we've gone through like these different clairs, but again, to not lock yourself into, okay, these are the ones that there are, like these are the ones that exist, like to be, because for me, I like my main mode of how I channel messages, like, and that can be when we say channel, what do we actually mean also? Because that can be from another soul, or from an angel or an ascended master, like we're talking about Merlin. But it can also be from an aspect of your own soul, like from your own higher self. So I call that channeling also. Maybe I'm not right about saying that I channel my higher self, but
yeah, I think you're right. I think to be a channel just means to be a completely open vessel. I'm seeing it in my mind as being, like a vessel that's allowing just a free flow of energy to go, you know, through your crown and down and up again. So just a vessel of allowing, because that means that you can have access to, you know, your higher self. You can have access to the angelic realm. You can have access to whatever you want to have access to, but you need to allow.
This is interesting because now you're saying that it flows in through the crown, but this can be like, sometimes for me it comes directly through the heart.
Yes. Yeah.
So I think didn't you say that depending on who it is you're channeling, it can feel different for you as well?
I think when you were talking, I was being shown an image of a human body with energy just moving straight through. But yeah, definitely when I'm channeling, I don't know, an energy like Merlin or Archangel Michael, I tend to feel it throughout my whole body, but I'm getting more emphasis around my crown. I'm feeling it in my head. However, when I'm channeling my Atlantean counterpart, I tend to get more of a pressure in my navel chakra. It's very strong. It kind of makes my abs jolt forwards. It's a more full body experience when I channel her, and I think that's because she's me. She's an aspect of me, and she's time traveling, so she's projecting herself forward. And that's coming with some sort of bumps, I suppose, as it's really, really happening. And I think coming back to this attachment idea of what we think that we really want, there was a time where I was just so determined. I want to channel. And in my mind, I saw myself as a trance channeler, because those were the people that I had observed. You know,
so what is that for someone who doesn't know? Trance.
Well, that's somebody who allows an energy to move. Well, I don't know, because I don't have the personal experience, but from what I can gather, it's where a person allows completely the energy to take over their body and to speak through them. Whereas I don't channel that way. I'm still conscious of what's happening. I think that's the difference. I'm still conscious and I'm still participating. I just have
it's actually a co-creation, like
that's a really good word. Yeah, a co-creation. Whereas I think, yes, you are co-creating as a trance channeler, but it's more you're in complete allowing of the other energy to come through you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had this real attachment to being a trance channeler, because I thought, wow, that's so amazing. That's an incredible thing to happen. And think of all the amazing information that could come through. However, I sort of let that go a little bit. And as I let that go, that's when things started actually happening for me. And my own experience of channeling came through. And what that looks like is different to what I wanted it to. But this is where your higher self knows exactly what you need, exactly what you want, really. And it will bring that about for you if you just trust and allow it to happen. So, yeah.
Trust.
Yeah.
So important.
Trusting and knowing
yourself, trusting your higher self, trusting spirit, the angels, the masters, the universe.
Right? Trust the universe.
Trust love.
Just know that the universe
trust in source. In God.
Yeah, everything that's happening is for our higher good. I think it's just a matter of perspective. Even the dark things that you may see around you, they're not really dark. They're all an aspect of God, and they're all working together for our greatest good.
And I started looking at it a bit differently also, that what we may feel as dark, that from the beginning it was also light, but somehow it got twisted or something, and it's also wanting to come back to light. It's actually what everything strives back into the light.
I mean, I think, if we think of source as being the original bright light, all light casts a shadow, and I think it's all about integration and learning. So that shadow is there to assist us to learn, just as we are playing the game. We are playing our role on earth right now so that we can learn as a collective, and so that source can understand itself. So ultimately what we consider dark isn't really dark. It's just a learning tool.
Yeah. I was saying something about like other ways than these 8, and then we came into to something like so when I channel, I was talking about what is channeling, what do we mean by that, but that it's through writing. I don't know, it really, well, I'm writing it either by hand or on my computer, but that's how it comes through for me. And in the strongest way, because I've been thinking, I felt that I needed to get better at just being spontaneous and channel like orally, that I wasn't allowing it to flow and so on, until I realized that this is my strongest. To actually dive deeper into that and allow that, and that it's not something that is not as good as anything else. Again, to not think that something is better than the other.
No, I hear you. That's actually my strongest route as well, to get stuff to come through, because I think you can just allow your ego to get out of the way. Whereas I think if you're doing it verbally, somehow it feels like it's easier for your brain to step in. Whereas when you're writing, you're in a constant flow, I've found.
It's interesting. Since I was a child, I wanted to be a writer. But then I thought, okay, and I love writing. So again, something that you really love to do, this is where it's look for in those areas of your life.
Yeah, definitely.
And because I always felt like I want to be a writer, but I don't know what to write about. I don't have a story. Now I have stories. But and one way, like if you really just wanting to get a sign also, and wanting to maybe that's your ego wanting coming in, like you can't just command spirit to show itself whenever you want to, that it will be when you really need it. You need you're in a vulnerable place, or you're really like, they feel like, okay, she really needs a sign to understand that this is real, but it's not something that you can control. To remember that also. So don't just go around like, hey, give me a sign now, or I'm not going to believe.
I think if you're constantly demanding the universe gives you a sign, then that's a clear indication that you're not in trust, you're not in allowing, you're scared, you're in fear. I think if you need to have a sign presented to you.
Now we're into actually talking about ways to help you develop your psychic abilities. We've come into that already, and so because I've written some things down, but trust and also patience, to have the patience that it's not all going to come all at once, and to play with it a little bit, try it out, have fun with it also.
Yeah, definitely. Patience, I think, is key, because if you're not being patient, then you're in resistance. And then it comes back to that whole law of attraction thing. You're not going to move forward. You kind of have to be in a position where you feel like you already have it, you're already embodying it, so that you're allowing it to come in. And
also one thing here, like believing in yourself is one thing. Believing that you can, that you can do it, that you have it in you, but also it's helpful when others believe in you. I've noticed, because I do give private sessions because I'm really an energy anchor, so I anchor in energies for others a lot, and so it's been quite a few times when people have asked me, okay, so what are my guides saying? Or they and I think in my head, oh, they think I'm psychic. They think I'm going to be able to get this. And then I go into, a little bit of fear first.
I
And
do the
then
same
I'm like,
thing as
okay,
well.
relax.
Yeah.
And then it's always calm. It always comes. It can come, like, I can get more messages like that for others than for myself.
Yeah.
So, and every time this happens, it also builds your confidence in yourself. And it's okay to practice. Every time we practice, we get better.
We do, yeah.
And we open up more and so on. But also if you go into that kind of fear, or like, oh, I need to prove something to someone else.
Yeah.
That kind of feeling, to go back into your heart and really center yourself again, and then tune back in.
There's quite a scope for a very real performance anxiety. That's how I would describe it, because you're sat with somebody and you feel like they're expecting something of you, and that expectation has a very real power to shut you down. And I know personally, I felt that before. I'm moving through it. That's a process for me to work through. I think that's a process for everybody to work through, but I'm so much more comfortable now than I was. But I remember when I was sort of developing my skills more deeply, 6 years ago, I had a mentor who was saying, put yourself out there, go to like a mind, body, soul fair, sit there, allow people to come to you. But I really just I didn't resonate with that. I didn't feel comfortable with the idea that someone could pounce on me and be like, right, I'm going to sit here and you're going to tell me, what I want to hear, or, do a reading. That sort of waiting, I really found unbearable. I think I need to feel like I have preparation, I suppose, a preparation to know that this is what's going to occur, and then I can center myself and feel comfortable. And I think that's key, getting yourself ready to bring source in, to bring energies in, so that you're not just pounced on, basically. I know for me personally anyway.
Yeah, I'm feeling the same way. So still for my sessions, I think this is going to change, but I prepare beforehand so that I at least start to get in the energy and get messages, so that doesn't happen to me. That I get fear, actually, of of not performing, and then, because then that does shut you down, just like you said.
Because I think as soon as that thought gets into your head, it can perpetuate and spiral very quickly, and then you are just completely shut down. So, I do the same.
So just breathe. Be calm.
Definitely.
What else? Ways to help you develop your psychic abilities? Would you give some?
Yeah, I've got a few that I noted down, and one of them is healing the trauma of persecution. So I think particularly as females, this is a big one, because we have experienced many lifetimes of persecution for speaking our truth, for having a connection to the divine. And that is something that's stuck around, that's within our morphogenetic field, that's held in our sacral, that's sort of womb space trauma, that I think is becoming quite a physical thing for a lot of women now. It's coming to the surface as we're moving through the ascension pathway, because the light is just forcing it up, and it's sort of manifesting physically. So I would definitely say looking at healing those aspects from a personal perspective, but also, if you can, healing on a collective level as well, putting your energy into transmuting the collective pain that's held there. Because I would say it feels like, as a woman, the womb space is a very important portal, for one, and center of creativity. So it needs to be cleared. And I think once we start all doing that, then collectively as females, I think we're going to experience something magnificent. A connection, such a connection to other women, as well, as a result of that clearance. So I would definitely say healing the persecution trauma is a big one, but also looking at our own individual shadows. So this can be from any kind of trauma that we've experienced at any point in our life. I think a lot of them come from childhood, and they are the most deeply inset traumas that are the hardest to work through, but still workable. because each of these traumas, they are like little pockets. This is how I was shown, little pockets of darkness and weight. It's like heaviness that you're holding in your body. And everywhere there is real density, the light can't penetrate, or it finds it very difficult to get in. So you have to really sit with it, and sit with it, observe it,
and allow the emotion.
Allow it.
Something that I'm thinking,
allow
because
the emotions.
sometimes, because I'm thinking some people might wonder, but how do I heal it? Sometimes that's the only thing.
Yeah.
Well, but that, I'm saying the only thing, but that's what it hurts. So you try to shut it off.
Try and avoid it.
But to allow the emotion, and to allow it to know that you're not the emotion also, and to allow it to flow through you, to release it, to kind of see it a little bit from the outside. And then, okay, so this is coming up, but it's coming up because I'm ready to release it, and I'm meant to release it now.
Yeah, because I think when these traumas happen, people go into like a survival mode, into a resilience mode. And resilience is perfect when you are in the situation. But if you continue with that resilience, basically all you're doing is bypassing. You're avoiding the real issue. You're avoiding penetrating the issue and working through it. So I think coming back to those wounds, I think it's unavoidable now, because the light is really pushing it up for everybody. And last year was the perfect example. That was a massive collective dark night of the soul that started for everybody, because everybody was trapped inside. There was no escape from the feelings, from being with yourself, because we have so many distractions in our lives. They're constant. We're so overstimulated that often we don't even allow time for ourselves to sit with our emotions and our feelings. A lot of the time we don't want to, because we know that there are pains that we haven't dealt with, but they are so important to deal with for us.
That you may feel like, I want to be a better person than that, and because maybe you're feeling jealousy, or anger, or resentment, these types of feelings, and you push that away because you don't want to accept that that's part of you, maybe.
But they're still there.
That's so it's thing. Better than to let them up to the surface. And
because,
and again, I'm getting that again, to be compassionate with yourself. We all have them. We humans. Like humans are. It's the dual. At least, what do you call it? Dualistic. But we're here. Like, that's how we experience through light and dark. And
I think once they are surfaced, then they no longer hold the power, because when they remain in the subconscious, all they're doing is preventing manifestation of things that you actually want. And I think this is one of the problems with the idea of the laws of attraction. People are putting their intentions out there of what they want, but if they have a limiting belief or a shadow which contradicts what they want, they're not going to get what they want. And then they're going to assume, oh, well, this doesn't work, and then they're just going to ditch it, and they're not going to move forward. So
I'm being shown also, and now that if you put all this energy into pushing that down, you don't, that's all the energy you're going to have. Like, you're not going to have a lot left for doing these other things.
And that's a lot of energy to push those things away, isn't it? Think of how you could actually use that energy productively.
And I'm thinking also, when you say now that it's time to heal them, then some people may think, like, okay, so how do I do that? I need to go to a healer. But I'm thinking mostly that's something that you work with yourself.
Yeah, definitely. I think it is an autonomous process, because this movement, this ascension, is about sovereignty. This is about taking responsibility for yourself. And ultimately, you can go to all the healers you like, but if you're not willing or ready to put in the work, it's just not going to work for you, or it won't be long term. It will be a short-term fix. And that's basically all we've been living in for the past several thousand years, expecting someone else to come along and fix us. But then if we don't do the actual inner work, then we just it comes back, and we have to deal with it again. So let's just get rid of it. Let's just not get rid of it. I'm not going to say that. Let's integrate it, because integration is the word. Let's do that now, so that it doesn't keep cropping up again for us.
Absolutely true. Let's see what other things we have. I wrote down some things too, and one thing to remember is that you're a channel, and what channel means that it's not something that that actually comes from you, but through you.
Through you, yeah.
So to allow spirit to use you as a divine channel for the highest good of all that is. That it's not, again, we've been touching on this, that it's not for the ego, just that you want something, but out of a will to serve. You could be, yourself, your own highest good, or the whole planet, or your loved ones, and so on. But then to waste, like we already said also that your psychic abilities will develop more and more as you raise your vibration, because that's and clearing out what no longer serves you, because then you can take in more light.
You're making space.
Because these beings of the light, if we're talking about channeling angels and masters of light, that they are of a much higher vibration than us in the physical body. So the higher we vibrate, the easier it will be for us to connect with them, and for them to connect with us also. And I've been doing a lot of that, like detoxify yourself. And that can be energetically, but also physically, because our physical bodies are trying. I think a lot of people have a lot of aches and pains at the moment, and that is actually your body trying to help you release the lower vibrational energies. So when you think of it in that way, to not, because that can also be something that you feel like, that you kind of want to beat yourself up, or you're feeling negative about your body, that it's not healthy, kind of beating on it instead of realizing it's helping. It's really trying all that it can to help, to raise the vibration, clear out physical toxins, and also lower energies, and in your physical body, your mental body, the emotional body, and the spiritual body also. But so to actually be mindful of what you eat and drink also, it does help. It does matter. And it took me a while to listen to my guides on this one. Like I like my coffee, I like my sweets, and I love cookies, and but that coffee and that sugar, it really isn't helping you at all. It is heavy. And actually it was a lot easier than I thought to stop with those things. It didn't take long at all, and it felt like a relief, and you can feel how your body responds to that, and that you feel lighter and so on. But then also to remember that it's not going to be, it can take a while when you start to working on detoxifying yourself, that it needs to come out. So it's not going to be that, if you do have aches and pains and so on, they might last a while, even if you're working with this consciously and changing your diet and so on. But it's gonna take, or it may take quite some time, but not to give up right away then. And also I'm thinking about all the electrical devices around us, all the radiation from Wi-Fi, and we have our phones with us so much, and to try and find ways to minimize that also, because that also impacts you. For example, if you go out for a walk, you might want to, some people, okay, I'm going to bring my phone, see if I get a message or something, or maybe you want to bring it to see, to count the amount of steps you take or something, but maybe leave the phone at home, so that could be a short break, and then just tune into nature instead, because nature is really helpful.
Oh my God,
also.
Definitely.
And crystals we've been talking about too, that really hold a lot of higher energies, and they're I'm getting that they are portals to higher dimensions.
I think water as well is a really important one. Having really good quality water. So I use a really good filter for my water, but also you can bless your water.
Absolutely.
So the work of Masaru Emoto is amazing to sort of go and check out, because he's looking at the intention that we place within water and how that affects the structure of the water. So obviously it's made of lots of water. So the way we're thinking towards ourselves is having a big influence on how we are presenting physically, you know, with physical symptoms.
So if someone doesn't know about him, Masaru Emoto, that you said that he's been, he's no longer with us in the physical, but he like it was water crystals.
Yeah, water crystals.
Yeah, like ice, frozen ones, and that people have been like just saying, actually speaking, saying "I love you" or in those types of, or happiness or joy, or like those high vibrational emotions and feelings, that they are the crystals are so beautiful and harmonious, and like the way they look. But if you say
symmetrical,
symmetrical and symmetrical, exactly. But then the lower parts, if you say to someone, I don't even want to say it in this video at the moment, but you know, bad things, negative things, then they get all distorted. And I mean, we're made up of so much water, our physical bodies as well. So if you think of just one water crystal being affected like that, well, you say to anything, to a plant also. It's really important. And there are so many different things that you can use as as tools, like energy sprays. So here's one that I have, like the golden energy, to help you like tune in with that. You can use oracle cards. Oh, let me show you this card that I have up here, because it's so beautiful.
Oh wow.
Mother, Father, God. So this is from Kyle Gray's deck.
That's pretty
angel deck. I think it's his deck. But these are really tools you can use. Sometimes I know a lot of people use them a lot. Like if you're really not sure and you don't like, I can't really get the guidance, sometimes I go in and use the cards, and that can help it to start to flow. And to definitely remember to ask, to repeat to your angels and guides that you're open to their messages. You know, help me see, feel, hear, sense you more. So I think that, and then feel into it with your heart.
Definitely.
Because for me, if it's an extra strong or important message, I feel it very strongly in my heart. It really heats up, like physically. And at the beginning, when I started waking up spiritually, I wondered, do I have a physical heart issue? What's happening with my heart? I can also get like extra beats, really things like that. Until I understood that this is my heart chakra, you know, this is my heart speaking to me.
I think
affirming things. And
the connection between the heart and the third eye really has to be strengthened. I think that's where the power lies, you know, not as individual centers, but as a unit. And I think as we move through the ascension, it will become a trinity with the causal chakra as well. So we'll bring in, we'll utilize it a lot more to bring in angelic energies and wisdom. I think they will be a unit.
So the causal is like above your head.
Just above the.
Not sure. Oh, we've talked for an hour already, Jenna. So I think that we should. This video is going to be complete the way it is now, and maybe we'll do another one too, because there's so much more to talk about. Also, like how different ways that you can express your psychic abilities, something that we're thinking of also. Maybe that's for another video. But thank you so much for being here with me today, Jenna.
It's been lovely.
And how can people find out more about you and what you have to offer? You have
Okay.
I mean, I mentioned your Facebook group, for
Yeah.
example.
Okay, well, right now my website is under construction. So hopefully within the next couple of weeks that will be up, and that will be sundiscascension.com. I have a Facebook group and page, and they're both called Sun Disc Ascension. So right now, and my YouTube channel, everything is called Sun Disc Ascension. So you can, I'm making it easy for everybody. You can find me there. I do have Instagram, but I don't use it quite so much because I think it's quite a challenge to be posting across all of these different platforms. And I think for what I'm posting, it's not as appropriate. So
it's wonderful that your website is under construction. I own one. I paid for it. I never find the time to work on it, but I'm going to get one, I promise.
Yeah, I say under construction. I'm constructing it. So
yeah. But so thank you so much, Jenna.
Thank you.
And thank you to all of you viewers. We hope you enjoyed this video, and don't hesitate to reach out to either of us, right? If you have any questions around this subject. And so hope to see you soon again. And bye for now.
Bye for now. Lots of love.
Lots of love.